I matched with her on a Tuesday night. Cassie. Jet black hair, sharp jawline. That kind of smile that makes you feel like you're in on a secret. She messaged me first. "Hey, you look like trouble." I laughed and said something dumb in return. But the conversation flowed, fast. Within an hour, we'd moved from Tinder to texting. By the weekend, we were grabbing drinks at a dimly lit bar on the edge of town. She was magnetic. Intense eye contact. Laughed at all my jokes and touched my hand when we talked. She made me feel like the most interesting person in the world. But something felt off. Like she already knew me. This was not just in a flattering way, but in a file on your desk kind of way. I brushed it off because I was too busy falling for her. Then within 2 weeks, we were seeing each other nearly every day. She always insisted on coming to my place and never to hers. She brought food, cleaned up after herself, left little notes on my fridge. "Can't wait to see you again." At first it was sweet. I thought I'd finally found love. Then it started becoming an everyday thing with the same handwriting, same lipstick mark and same perfume lingering hours after she left. One morning I woke up and found my bathroom stocked with products I'd never bought. A pink toothbrush, shampoo I was allergic to, a bottle of her perfume. She'd moved in, without asking. When I brought it up, she smiled and said, "You just forgot we talked about it." But we hadn't. But I didn't push. I didn't want to seem crazy. And that's exactly how she made me feel like I was the one losing it. It got worse. She started showing up at my office unannounced. I'd go to the bathroom, come back, and there'd be a coffee on my desk, the way I liked it. "Cassie dropped it off," my co-worker would say, shrugging. The worst part, I never told her where I worked. I never even mentioned my flaw. There was a time she texted me, "Are you okay?" I asked why. She sent a photo of me sitting on my couch, taken from outside my apartment window. I live on the 3rd floor. Immediately I started feeling insecure and I told her to stop, that we needed space. She cried, saying she had abandonment issues. Said if I left, she'd do something stupid. She knew where my parents lived, my friends' names. She made damn sure I knew that. Then came the recordings. One night, I found a USB drive taped under my sink. There was no label, just stuck there, waiting for me to find it. When I plugged it into my laptop, there were audio files of me sleeping. Hours of it. I could hear myself breathing, tossing and snoring. Then a voice, low right near the mic. "You talk in your sleep. You say the cutest things." My blood ran cold. She'd been in my apartment, recording me and watching me. I tried to cut her off, blocked her number, changed my locks, told my boss I was working remotely for a few days. But she found ways in. One morning I woke up and found my cat hiding under the couch, fur missing in patches. There was a note next to his empty food bowl. He scratched me. I didn't like that. Immediately I called the police. They couldn't do anything. "She hasn't committed a crime," they said. "Maybe you should try talking to her," they said. But she was the crime. Then the hallucinations started. Or maybe what I thought were hallucinations. Shadows moving in the corners of my room. Footsteps in the hallway. When I was home alone. My shower running when I hadn't turned it on. She'd planted something in my head. I was never sure what was real anymore. One night, I heard typing. Cassie was in my living room using my laptop. I froze. "How did you get in?" I whispered. She smiled. "You never logged out." She turned the screen toward me. It was an email. A resignation letter to where I worked. Before I knew it, my job was done. "I quit for you," she said proudly. "Now we can be together all the time without missing each other." I snapped. I screamed, threatened to call the cops. I told her to leave, but she didn't flinch. "You think this is your life?" she said, walking slowly toward me. "This has been mine since the beginning." I backed away, shaking. She pulled the journal from her bag. It was leather-bound and my name scratched on the front. "I've been keeping track of you, my love," she said softly. Inside were pages and pages of writing, but they weren't hers, they were mine. It was filled with my thoughts, my memories, dates, details, written as if I had written them. Like she had crawled inside my head and started taking notes. I don't keep a journal. I never have. That's when I realized something terrifying. She didn't just want to love me, but also wanted to be me. And she was doing it slowly, piece by piece, by taking over my schedule, copying my phrases, wearing my clothes, and also changing things in my apartment, just slightly enough to make me feel wrong in my own space. I had no other option than going to stay with a friend. I didn't tell anyone where I was going to. Then 3 days later, she showed up at his place. "Is he here?" she asked. He lied and said no. She smiled, stepped closer, and whispered, "If you see him, tell him I forgive him. I know it wasn't really him that tried to leave." That night, his dog was poisoned. In order not to put my friend in more danger, I went back home. But I made sure I kept the lights on with a knife under my pillow, and I also made sure my locks were checked 3 times, because she's still out there. She sends me photos of myself sleeping, walking, brushing my teeth. She leaves notes under my windshield wiper. Notes like, "You looked tired today. Want me to tuck you in?" She hasn't broken in for a while, but I know it's only a matter of time. And here's the worst part. Sometimes I miss her. Sometimes I catch myself smiling at her old texts. Even though I've read them 100 times, I still scroll through them like they mean something. Sometimes I hear myself saying things she used to say. Phrases I never used before. Little things like how she used to say tick-tock instead of hurry up. Or the way she'd hum when she was thinking. Now I catch myself doing it. Laughing the way she laughed. Smiling the way she smiled. And when I look in the mirror sometimes, just for a second, I don't recognize the face looking back, and I wonder, is she really still out there? Or is she already in here? I tried deleting everything connected to her, her number, her photos, and every message. I even changed phones, wiped all my cloud backups. I thought if I could just cut her out digitally, maybe my brain would follow. But no matter how many times I scrubbed my devices, she always came back. One night, I factory reset my phone. I didn't reinstall any apps or bother to log into anything. I just wanted peace and silence. But the next morning, there was a voicemail from an unknown number. When I pressed play, all I heard was breathing. It was slow and steady, like someone standing right beside me. Then her voice, quiet and close. "Still trying to erase me? That's not how things work." I moved but didn't tell anyone. I switched cities, got a new job under a different name. I even used my middle name on the lease. 3 weeks passed. Thankfully I heard nothing. No calls, no notes, and no shadows in the corners. For the first time in what felt like forever, I slept without checking the locks twice. I started to believe it was finally over. Maybe I had been paranoid. Maybe it really had been in my head. Then one morning, I stepped out of my apartment and saw it. A single rose placed neatly on my welcome mat, wrapped in an old, yellowing newspaper. I bent down slowly. The paper felt damp and musty. The headline caught my eye. It was dated exactly 2 years ago, the day we matched on Tinder, and scrawled underneath the rose in red ink, "I never left." I reported it to building security. They pulled the footage from the night before, and here's the part that broke my brain. The footage showed me. It showed that I was the one placing the rose. Wearing clothes I didn't own. The hair slightly longer, the expression was blank and mechanical. I thought maybe someone was messing with the footage, deep face maybe. Then it happened again. A week later, another rose, another camera recording. Once again, it was me, except this time, I was holding hands with Cassie. Only, she wasn't looking at the camera. She was staring directly at my apartment door. I paused the footage and stared at the frame. Her eyes weren't angry, they looked hungry, like she was staring at a piece of meat slowly defrosting behind glass. I took a screenshot and zoomed in. That's when I noticed something was wrong with her reflection. While mine matched my movements perfectly, blinking and breathing as expected, hers didn't. She didn't blink, she didn't breathe, she just stared, completely still, as if she wasn't part of the same reality. That night, I heard a scratching sound at the front door. It wasn't random creaking or settling noises. It was deliberate, slow, and repetitive. I leaned in closer to listen. Then came 3 slow knocks, evenly spaced. I looked through the peephole but saw no one standing there. The hallway was empty. Then my phone vibrated. It was a photo message from an unknown number. My heart dropped when I opened it. The picture was of me standing at the door, looking through the peephole. The image had been taken from just inches away, from the other side of the door. Panic gripped me. I turned off all the lights, sat in the dark, clutching a kitchen knife, and waited in silence. At some point, I must have fallen asleep. I woke up to a sound that made my blood run cold. A lullaby, being hummed softly from inside my apartment. It wasn't playing from a device, it was someone's voice. It was her voice. I followed the sound to my closet. Slowly I opened the door with my heart pounding in my chest. But there was no one inside, nothing but darkness and one of my shirts hanging in the back. That's when I noticed the smell, Cassie's perfume. It was faint but unmistakable. The scent I hadn't smelled in weeks. Now it's everywhere, on my clothes, in my bed, even in the water when I shower. She's not just watching me anymore. She's somehow weaving herself into my life like a presence I can't shake. I finally called the therapist and told him I might be having a breakdown. I told him things were happening that didn't make sense, and that I couldn't tell what was real anymore. He listened calmly and nodded as I spoke. Then he said, "You've mentioned Cassie before, but I thought we agreed Cassie died 2 years ago. You told me yourself." I froze. "What?" I asked. He looked genuinely concerned. "She died, didn't she? In the fire. You were hospitalized for weeks after. You blame yourself." I stood up and left his office without saying another word. The thing is, I've never told anyone about a fire. That night I combed through hospital records. To my horror, there was a fire. 2 years ago at my old apartment, a girl had been found inside, her body unidentifiable. The landlord said she'd been squatting there for weeks pretending to live with a man who never existed. When I checked the mail found at the scene, only one name appeared on the envelopes: Cassie. I pulled up the fire report. The cause was marked as unknown, but arson was suspected. Next to the victim's remains, they'd found a notebook. Its contents weren't released, but I recognized the cover from the image in the file. It was a leather-bound, dark red, and unmistakably hers. It was the same journal she once showed me, the one filled with my thoughts. Only now the name on the cover wasn't mine anymore. It was hers. I tried destroying everything I still had that connected me to her. Strangely, the journal showed up again, and this time in my mailbox one morning, even though it had supposedly been locked in the evidence room. I took it deep into the woods and set it on fire. As it turned to ash, I heard something which was not a scream, but a wail, like something alive was dying in that fire. The air around me shifted, thick and electric, like it does before a storm, but the sky was perfectly clear. I thought maybe that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. That night, someone tried to unlock my front door. I heard 5 slow, deliberate clicks. The sound of a key being turned in a lock. It didn't fit. I rushed to the peephole, but no one was there. When I turned to check the bolt, I saw something carved into the wood just above the handle. "I'm the only key you need." I stayed up all night, a knife in one hand and a flashlight in the other. Around 4 a.m, my laptop suddenly turned on. No input, no password, it just logged in. A video file was already playing. It was footage from inside my apartment. Someone had been recording me from the vent above my bed. The camera zoomed in slowly as I slept. At one point, I rolled over and faced the wall. And that's when she came into frame. Cassie, standing silently in the corner of my room, just watching, still, silent, smiling. There's no camera in my vent. I've checked it a dozen times. I even took it apart. But the footage was real. I remember those nights. The uneasy feeling waking up as if someone was standing over me. She was there. I contacted the police again, desperate, but without physical evidence. They said there was nothing they could do. I showed them the video. It was gone. In its place was a single Word document on my desktop. It contained only 3 words: "You're wasting time." I turned to my friend Mark for help. He believed me at first. He even came over to stay the night just to see if anything would happen. It did. At exactly 2:13 a.m, we both woke up at the same time. The apartment was ice cold. In the hallway stood a woman with her back to us. "Cassie," Mark whispered. "Is that her?" I nodded. "Don't move." She began walking backwards toward us, like something was dragging her feet in reverse. Mark took a step forward to confront her and then froze in place mid-breath. His eyes rolled back, and he collapsed, seizing violently. By the time the ambulance arrived, she was gone. Mark hasn't spoken since. He just stares into space now. Sometimes he hums that same lullaby I once heard from my closet. His doctors call it a trauma response. But I know better. I've stopped trying to run because nowhere is safe. Even my reflections have started turning against me. One night, I caught my reflection in the mirror smiling when I wasn't. I punched it in rage, shattering the mirror into 100 pieces. But as I turned to leave, I saw movement in the shards on the floor. Each broken fragment reflected Cassie, but in different poses. In some, she was staring directly at me. In others, she was cutting into her own skin with a fork. In one, she was whispering something, her voice barely audible over the high-pitched ringing in my ears. I leaned in closer. She said, "If you don't love me, no one gets to love you." That was a week ago. I haven't slept since. I wake up to messages scrawled on my walls in permanent marker. Messages I never wrote, with a marker I've never owned. Her perfume lingers everywhere. She's not just haunting me anymore. She's inside me now, in my thoughts, in my voice. She started speaking through me. Last night I caught myself whispering to myself, "You always wanted someone who'd never leave you." I think I'm forgetting who I am. I keep finding photographs of Cassie and me together, smiling at restaurants I've never been to, on vacations I never took. In every photo, I look happy, genuinely happy, but I don't remember any of them. I've stopped asking what's real because it doesn't matter. This is my life now. Not haunted, not stalked, but claimed by someone who doesn't need to kill you to destroy you. Someone who doesn't possess chains or a cage, but rather with love. Her version of love, which isn't love at all but possession, and she never, ever lets go. Have you ever fallen for someone a little too fast, and they seem to know everything about you, even the things you never shared? Or did their love feel more like control than connection? Then maybe it wasn't love at all. Maybe they were rewriting you, one memory at a time. Thanks for watching Insidious Inc. If that thought creeped you out, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss another chilling tale. Sleep tight,